Thank you for your warm introduction. Dr. Hank Perlman, President of Han's University of Applied Sciences and President of Hanseatic League of Universities. Dr. Jo Dong-sung, President of Incheon National University and Chair of the second conference Hanseatic League of Universities. Distinguished professors, excellencies, ambassadors, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. It is my great honor and privilege to be here with you at the Incheon National University, as well as attending this second Hanseatic League of Universities. It is again my great privilege to deliver a keynote remarks at such a significant time for expanding global sustainability efforts, as well as the prominent role of education to this end. I take this opportunity to offer my sincere congratulations on the occasion of the 40th anniversary of Incheon National Universities. Under the futuristic vision of Dr. Jo Dong-sung, president of this great university, this university is now one of the most important institutions of higher learning in Korea and beyond. And it stands today as one of the centerpieces of a dynamic, global, and innovative school in Korea, and also in Songdo. To Incheon National University and people of and city of Songdo, thank you for having me here today. And to all those who have traveled here from Hanseatic League members and participating organizations around the world for this conference, I would like to warmly welcome you all to Korea. Thank you for your taking time. The Hanseatic League of University is a forward-thinking educational initiative that is destined to make a tangible impact in the field of higher education to benefit society and industry moving forward. I'm pleased to see that educational and cultural exchange and collaborations serves as a cornerstone for your mission. This is increasingly important in our globalized and interconnected world, and I'm confident that students and your member and participating organizations will be well equipped to tackle the challenges of both today and tomorrow as engaged global citizens. This is particularly timely at this critical juncture for our collective future. More than ever before, the world needs a new generation of thinkers and doers that are globally engaged and sustainably minded. Today, I will first underline the importance of achieving sustainable development. And second, I will highlight how education, quality education and higher education holds the key to unlocking our potential in actualizing sustainability. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, we have taken significant leaps forward in the field of sustainable development in recent years, particularly with the adoption of Sustainable Development Goals and Agenda 2030. This is a landmark in the United Nations achievement in the history. This SDG is guided on the basis of Millennium Development Goals, which were adopted in 2000 at the dawn of new millennium, whole world's people, including those in Korea, they were excited how we should celebrate and how to make sure that this world would be better than before 2000. There were a lot of ideas coming up, even Y2P. Then the world leaders decided to hold a summit meeting, special summit meeting, dedicated for adopting these Millennium Development Goals with 8 goals. The extreme poverty rate has been cut in half during this period. By 2010, in fact, we were able to achieve the #1 goal of Millennium Development Goals, cutting in half the extreme poverty rate by half. It's 5 years before the target. It's rare to see in our life that you achieve something before the target date. But it was not even because it was owing to Chinese great efforts to lift at least 400 million people out of poverty. So that shoot up the statistics. But in other parts of the world, people were still hungry. They were experiencing extreme poverty rate. Now, with the end of Millennium Development Goals, when I was elected as a Secretary General, I was elected in the middle of Millennium Development Goals. And I did my best to make sure that these Millennium Development Goals get the targets. But it was not possible. Then we decided to have some successor vision, and that is Sustainable Development Goals. When Development Goals SDG was adopted, still I think we were able to have 2.1 billion people who benefited from these MDGs, and 2.6 billion people now have access to safe drinking water. But as you may think that the world is not still sustainable, world is not still safe, world is not still prosperous enough. There is still much work to be done to achieve global sustainability. Now I tell you that nearly 10% of global people, they live still on less than $2 a day. To be more exact, since you are all professors, $1.90. So you have to solve breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and water, and whatever. This is we call the extreme poverty. Still, extreme poverty rate eradication target is #1 goal of Sustainable Development Goals. You may be surprised that 6 million children under the age of 5, they perish without any reason before they can celebrate the 5th birthday. 663 million people remain without drinking water. When you go to Africa, you will see many women, no men, many women carrying buckets of heavy water, walking many kilometers, just to have 1 bucket or 2 buckets of water. So they have walked endlessly. This is quite heartbreaking if you really see. Inequality is still growing, both between and within nations. Since 2000, 50% of the increase in global wealth has only benefited just 1% of the people, 1%, like Bill Gates or whoever, all those names which we know. Therefore, during my 10-year service as a Secretary General, I made a priority and expanded the importance of United Nations global development efforts. This is exactly the 2030 Agenda and Sustainable Development Goals with 17 goals. I'm always proud in carrying this badge, this Sustainable Development Goals, representing 17 targets. The difference between MDG and SDG is that while MDG was largely made for the developing countries, so just 8 goals, we thought that it's not only people in the developing world, but even in the developed world, there are still poverty, there are still health issues, there are still education issues. Therefore, we expanded the scope of the benefits. So all the people around the world, including both developed and developing countries. It builds, of course, on the Millennium Development Goals and provides a humanity and also work together harmoniously with our planet. People have not been much thinking about the planet. People have taken it just normal that we can live endlessly in this planet Earth. We have to change this one. Therefore, there is a very important aspect of addressing environmental crisis, that is climate change. The climate change takes one of the 17 goals. But the basic difference between climate change, addressing climate itself, is a political agreement, political announcement. So you may or may not do it. It's okay. So there is no such sanctions or whatever it may be. But when it comes to number 13 goal, climate change, this is a treaty. This is an agreement made through negotiations. Many years of negotiation, at least 20 years. At least 20, it took longer than 20 years. I'm very happy, and I'm also lucky, that this climate change agreement was able to be adopted during my time. Just 1 year before my mandate ended. Now looking back, this treaty is not moving well because of one big country. You know, some people laugh because of the United States announced that they will withdraw from this. Just because of the change of government, the nature does not change their course. Nature would be same during the time of President Trump, as nature was the same during the time of President Obama. Nature does not wait for us. Nature does not negotiate with a human being. It is the human being, humankind, who have to negotiate and who has to follow what our nature cries. Nature is a crying and sending very serious, stern message, warning message to us. That if you don't change your course, your behaviors, then there will be no future. That is a very important one. And I'm also lucky. We are also lucky. Why? There was a small gap of opportunity. President Trump took power on January 20th of 2017. And I left December 31st, 2016. But I made it sure that this Paris climate change became effective, come into effect on November 4th of 2016. It's a matter of just 2 months. Had it not been able to come into effect on November 4th, 2016, just 1.5 months before my departure, retirement, and then there would have been no Paris climate change agreement. Paris climate change is now effective. It is going on, regardless of United States withdrawal. We are still in campaign. We are still in. This is joined by most of the governors, more than 350 mayors, more than 1,000 CEOs. At the end of 2030, we have 10 years and 6 months to go. The progress in education, science and technology will be critical in delivering on all the SDGs. That is why I'm now here. That is why I'm now speaking to the distinguished professors of the higher learning institutions. That you have to make sure that, first of all, foster global citizenship among your students. Make sure that these SDGs are implemented. Make sure that quality education is given. Unfortunately, at this time, more than 62 million children, school-aged children, are not able to go to even primary school. That is why during my time, I initiated global education. It was aimed to providing primary education. SDG is now committed to providing at least the secondary education, if not higher or university education. Therefore, it is important that all the children, or school-aged children, they should be able to get quality education. With this in mind, there are so many goals, 17 goals. I think how to forge a strong partnership is very important. Not a single country in this world, however powerful, however resourceful, however rich one may be, like the United States. Korea is one of the OECD countries, belonging to maybe 11th or 12th richest country in the world. They cannot do this alone. We have to put our hands all together. We have to pool all our wisdom. We have to pool all the resources together. Otherwise, these 17 goals will never be able to be implemented. That is a global partnership. Partnership among governments, business communities, or in this case, educational facilities, education institutions, and civil society. We need to forge a trilateral partnership. This is what United Nations is focusing very much. If I may quote what does partnership means, I quote, multi-stakeholder partnerships that mobilize and share knowledge, expertise, technology, and financial resources to support the achievement of the Sustainable Development Goals in all the countries. End of quote. This is a main purpose, and as well as how to mobilize partnerships and resources among governments, business, educational, and civil society. In this regard, I am very proud that in 2010, I have initiated a very important one for the educators. United Nations Academic Impact, UNAI. If your university is not a member, I would strongly encourage you to join this UNAI. Most of I think by this time, more than 1,500 education, and fostering global citizenship and sharing science and technology, whatever you have developed. This is a very important one. They serve as launching pads for new ideas and incubators to forge solutions to the seemingly insurmountable problems that we face. And the academic community around the world has stepped up to hold and to help with these efforts to achieve the SDGs. In this regard, I urge Hanseatic League of University member and participating organizations to sign on as UN academic member part institutions and make an overarching commitment to the common good and the UN's transformative sustainable development efforts. Partnership initiatives like this facilitate the transfer of knowledge, advance critical research, expand innovation, and help instill a driving sense of sustainability in the global citizens of both today and tomorrow. In this regard, I'd like to introduce what then I'm doing as a former Secretary General. In 2017, the first year of my retirement, I have assumed my position as Honorary Chairman of the Institute of Global Engagement and Empowerment, abbreviated IGEE. And I have established the BAN Ki-Moon Center for Sustainable Development. With these two positions, I am carrying on as former Secretary General to help member states, to help educational institutions to implement the Sustainable Development Goals. In addition to this, as was introduced by the moderator, I'm also Chairman and President of the Assembly of Global Green Growth Institute. I'm also working as Chairman of the Global Commission on Adaptation, together with Bill Gates and the CEO of World Bank, Kristalina Georgieva. There are many other areas where I am doing my job as a private citizen, but not completely as a private citizen. I'm holding some governmental job. At this time, I was asked by the president, you are lucky enough to enjoy better air quality. But when you go to downtown Seoul, you'll be crazy. It's really hard, really hard. Many people are, at least 7 bad air quality, 17,000. More than 7 million people die around the world because of this air. I have been urging the politicians particularly. There is no opposition party or governing party. There is no difference between president and just citizens. However rich, however higher position you may have, you have to breathe the same air. And air is transboundary. Long-range transboundary. There is no China, no Korea, no Japan. We have to work together. We have to promote regional cooperation, particularly among neighboring countries, and in a broader sense, Asia and Pacific, and even Asia and Europe. This air may not travel as far, but at least we can exchange our technology and know-how, experience between European countries, developed European countries, and Koreans. This is what I am asking for all of you to work this. Ladies and gentlemen, in implementing these Sustainable Development Goals, it's very important that we give priority of our efforts and resources in making sure that women, children, and people with disability. Idea is that SDG makes sure that no one is left behind. This is a very important one. Their education holds a key to this. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, education at all levels can help boost sustainability and inclusion. But as I said, government needs to do more to provide the requisite enabling environment to help capitalize on such gains. This in turn will facilitate expanded collaboration, innovation, and entrepreneurship between educational institutions and other stakeholders. One way to help bridge the equality gaps in our societies and simultaneously achieve SDGs is to refocus our attention on quality education. However, as the world has become more interconnected, a call for transformational changes in how we learn, how we think, and how we interact among people with others has emerged. The idea was that all people have rights and civic responsibilities that come being a member of our globalized world. In that regard, again, I am focusing now how to foster global citizenship with a transformative development of science and technology and information. What I'm saying is now being transmitted within a fraction of a second to the end of the world, to the remotest corner of the world. But still, people are living in a small, enclosed within the boundaries. Koreans are living in Korea, Japanese or Chinese or Europeans, but there is no such meanings in the national boundaries. European Union is a good example. Once you step on the soil of any European country, you just travel without any hindrance, any bureaucratic, any administrative hindrances. I think we should make this world that way. In that regard, I have been urging the Europeans and American leaders not to erect walls. Instead, they must build bridges among people. I am deeply concerned about the increasingly lacking global citizenship, increasingly lacking global partnership. America first, or Korea, we never said Korea first, but if my president would say Korea first, that's wrong. If American president is saying America first, I think he is no longer a global citizen. He is no longer a global leader. I'm really asking you, distinguished professors, to teach how to foster global citizenship among our young future leaders. This is a very important one. I'll tell you one story about me. In 1962, I was one of the very lucky high school boys who was invited to White House and met President John F. Kennedy at the time. I used to live in a dusty small village in Korea, Chungju. This is a small town. I rode bus on a dusty road, by airplane. What President Kennedy was saying is that the world leaders are not getting along well. I think he was right, because it was in the height of Cold War. The Soviet Union and American leaders, they were not talking, they were fighting. So leaders were not doing well. But you young people could do better.
national boundaries do not mean. Why? National boundaries were very strict at that time. But still he said, national boundaries will be meaningless. Then he said, what you need to do is extend your helping hand to other people. He was meaning about this compassion, global citizenship for those people who may need our support. This is what emphasizing more about what we need to do to make this world better. In this era of division and uncertainty, where multilateralism is under threat, I believe that achieving the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals and fighting climate change are two efforts that must unite all nations and all the global citizens through cooperation and partnership. Quite plainly, our collective existence moving forward depends on what I told you. But this urgent and historic undertaking can create opportunities as well. We can expand social inclusion, empower women, young people, and harness science and technological innovation for the greater good. And I'm confident that leading academic institutions